Good morning. Thank you for being here. Your Excellency, President Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović, I'm pleased to welcome you again on your official second visit to the Maltese Islands, this time as Head of State of the Republic of Croatia. I look forward to welcome you again in September to participate at the upcoming Araiolus group meeting, which I will be hosting here in Malta. The high-level Araiolus meeting brings together non-executive heads of state from European Union countries. This meeting provides a powerful platform to discuss the challenges and opportunities facing the European Union, our regions, and beyond. I'm so pleased that President Grabar-Kitarović has accepted my invitation to join for the first time. I must note with satisfaction that Her Excellency will be the second female president to join this group. On the other hand, I'm convinced that the united commitment of our fellow presidents during the Araiolus meeting will provide an environment of active dialogue and collaboration. On a bilateral level, I'm pleased to note the various high-level meetings that have recently taken place between Malta and Croatia, which reflect the strong relations between our two countries. These encounters included meetings between our respective ministers for foreign affairs held in April this year, and bilateral talks between our prime ministers held earlier in March, where they discussed the future of the European Union, amongst other topics. While diplomatic relations between Malta and the Republic of Croatia started in 1992, our relations since Croatia's membership in the European Union in 2013 have been strengthened by the importance that we both place in the success of the European project. Our mutual commitment towards the values for peace within our regions, in our European Union, and throughout our world reflect a like-minded approach towards the well-being and prosperity of our peoples. We have reiterated our firm belief that we must continue working together to give the due importance to all issues that promote the prosperity and the well-being of all members of our societies, by committing ourselves to enhance further our endeavours to encourage our trade and business communities to work in synergy. We have also further committed ourselves to continue to encourage the strengthening of social and cultural relations. We have also discussed the situation of our respective regions, that is, the Southern, Eastern Europe, and the Mediterranean. I would like to take the opportunity to commend the Republic of Croatia for its efforts to ensure stability in the Southern Eastern region of Europe. Malta believes that to ensure stability and prosperity for the peoples of all the Southeastern European countries, these countries should be part of our family of nations within the European Union. I can boldly say that Her Excellency and I are of the same mind, that we must continue to focus on building stronger links between and among all our countries and across the various regions of Europe. I would like to further emphasize that stability in the southeastern region of Europe and the potential for peaceful prosperity is a priority for Malta's ongoing presidency of the Council of the European Union. Her Excellency and I spoke at length about Malta's priority areas for the presidency of the European Union and its achievements at this point. In this spirit of prosperity, it is encouraging to note that the number of registered Croatian employees who are active in the Maltese workforce. I'm also pleased to know that tourism between our countries is also steadily growing, and we hope it will grow even further. We both believe, Her Excellency and I, that opportunities through employment and tourism are an excellent means of bringing people together, to nurture people-to-people contact and to enhance friendships among the communities of our respective countries. Her Excellency and I have also discussed at length the urgent need for greater synergy between the business communities of our respective countries, as it is in this way that they shall be able to effectively and efficiently identify new opportunities for mutual growth and prosperity in the best interest of our peoples. Finally, being just two of the very, very few female heads of state in Europe and the world, with Her Excellency, we spoke how we can also work closely together on a number of issues concerning gender equality and peace building. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Madam President Koleiru Preka. Dear friend, first of all, thank you very much for the very warm welcome to Malta on behalf of my delegation and on my own behalf. I am very happy to be here on the first state visit by a Croatian president to Malta. And although we did have a number of meetings in the first half of this year on a very high level, I nevertheless would love to host you, Madam President, in Croatia, as it has been more than 10 years now that a Maltese president or prime minister has visited Croatia for a state visit. So I hope that we will continue our cooperation bilaterally, but also very much so also on the margins of international organizations meetings and many groups, and I thank you very much for your invitation to the Ahayolush group meeting. I am looking forward to our discussions and deliberations because I believe that we as presidents, even though we do not have executive powers, nevertheless can do a lot in order to moderate that discussion that is so important for European unity, for preserving the European values, first and foremost solidarity among all of us, the equality of our nations, for a Europe that is not based on several speeds or several tiers, but that is based on working together among the 27 remaining members after the Brexit, and for a Europe that will be a lot more decisive and a lot more efficient and effective in resolving the crisis and the threats that we see emerge in the East and in the South in our immediate neighborhoods. Today, as Madam President has said, we've discussed many issues from our bilateral relations to the EU agenda, to the situation in Southeast Europe and our respective neighborhoods, Mediterranean issues, and the global issues, the global agenda. I commend Malta on the EU presidency so far. You have demonstrated that a country with a small administration can be so efficient and effective in presiding over the European Union, which is also a very good signal for us because Croatia will be presiding over the EU in the year 2020, in the first half of 2020. And we're very much looking forward and hoping to learn from your experience, both political and logistical, all the aspects of the presidency. Your agenda of the 3 M's, the maritime, the Mediterranean, and the migration dimensions is very pertinent to the situation that the European Union that we find ourselves in right now. We discussed migrations at length, and we both agreed, Madam President, that this is not just a European issue, it is a global issue, and that the problems of migrations need to be resolved at their root. The root causes from inequality, illiteracy, poverty, to persecution, to terrorism and terrorist attacks, to one of the newest threats, which is climate change, which will certainly have more people on the move towards our shores. I see that as one of the most important tools through the Sustainable Development Goals. And I hope that in New York this year we will be able to report on the progress that we've made and not just underline to what we have committed already. This is an extremely important issue for both of our countries. Migrations certainly affect our own societies and our neighborhoods. We saw in Southeast Europe with the migration wave 2 years ago that it destabilized the whole region. And unfortunately, as a result of that, we now have razor wire fence on the borders with Slovenia and with Hungary that we did not have during the times of the Cold War. Those razor fences have to go away, but for that we need to work together. We need solidarity. We need a common, comprehensive European approach that is based on resolving the internal situation and protecting the external borders of the European Union, but also through external means of development, diplomacy, and defense against terrorism and terrorist attacks, and working on peace building and peacekeeping efforts in the areas that are currently affected by war, aggression, and destruction. We already have to start thinking on how to rebuild those areas and what we can do in order to assist those countries. Croatia, unfortunately, has experience in that arena. But, Madam President, we both agree that as female presidents, we also have a special obligation to work towards including women in the peace-building processes, because it has been proven that when women are part of the peace-building process, the process has so much more of a chance to succeed than when women are excluded. And I hope that together we will undertake so many personal initiatives in our own countries, but also on the global level as well. With respect to the Croatian-Maltese relations, we've concluded that they are excellent in the political sense. We see much room where we can do more in cultural exchanges. Croatia can assist also in registering UNESCO protected properties and customs. We can also assist with some other areas that we have some experience in terms of the protection of cultural, especially underwater cultural heritage. But I see also room for cooperation, for closer cooperation in maritime affairs, in fisheries, in protecting the Mediterranean and the Adriatic seas, so environmental protection, tourism, and many other areas. Our trade has been relatively modest so far, although Malta holds 16th place when it comes to foreign investment to Croatia. So there is trade and there is investment cooperation between the two countries. But I do believe, and I do agree with you, Madam President, that next time we should get our chambers of the economy, chambers of commerce together, and our business people together to explore the opportunities for more business between Croatia and Malta. The areas that I see are petrochemical industry, pharmaceuticals, agriculture and food processing industry, wood processing industry, but also IT, so high technology, telecommunications, and of course tourism, because both of our countries heavily depend on tourism. So there is still much to talk about in the course of today. I'm very much looking forward to our conversations today, but also to our joint and close cooperation to the benefit of both Malta and Croatia, but also of the global community as well. Thank you very much again.
For you, Madam President of Malta, what are the reasons behind your hard work to increase the number of female presidents in the Areolos Group?
Not just in the Areolos Group, but obviously we need to have visibility for females that are actually heads of state. We need to, by that visibility alone, we can encourage our girls and women to feel that it is also their option to go up the ladders of the political and public life. But definitely, as Her Excellency was saying, women are crucial in peace building, especially women as community leaders. We need to look at female representation, not just to ensure the full perspective of a whole society, but also as women part of peace negotiating tables, but to build peace in our communities. It is not enough to have the conflicts resolved at political, diplomatical level, but we need also to ensure that peace building is being done into our communities, That only can ensure long-lasting peace, sustainable peace. So this is the reason that we speak of more women in public life, more women as heads of state, more women around the peace tables, more women engaged in our communities as leaders.
I have a question for the President of Malta. One of the priorities of the Malta's EU ongoing presidency were migration. How do you see the progress on that level up to now? And the other question, Malta has significantly reduced the number of refugees coming to its shores. How did you achieve that? Thank you.
Well, let's tackle the issue of migration in a wider perspective. First of all, Malta. It lies in the most deadly route of the Mediterranean for migrants to cross from Africa to Europe. Malta has experienced migration for quite a number of years before Europe actually realized this phenomenon of migration. Italy, Malta, Greece, we have had such a stance with the European Union to bring migration part of its visibility. We have taken up initiatives such as the Valletta Summit in 2015 and later also the Valletta Action Plan to look at migration holistically, but also from its source. So what has been done so far? We hope that there is more solidarity between the countries of the European Union to take up the responsibility of this whole phenomenon, but also not look at migration as a responsibility only, but also an opportunity. What we have learned definitely also with regards to the phenomenon of 1/3 of the whole migrants that have come to Europe since a few years ago were unaccompanied asylum-seeking children. And this year, through my office, we facilitated a meeting of Missing Children Europe, of whom I am a patron of the Council. We have brought over like 150 organizations from Europe that work at entry points on the European continent, together with Europol, together also with Commissioner Avramopoulos. And one of the very important points that have been raised is the issue that if we tackle migration from a security point of view alone, we will be feeding right through the business of the smugglers and the traffickers, in terms that if we do not protect asylum-seeking children that come to Europe and actually go missing, and Europol is stating that in 1 year alone, 10,000 of these children have gone missing completely. And Europol states as well that it's only the tip of the iceberg. If we do not protect, so when we tackle the issue of migration, it's protection and security. If we do not put protection with security, we'll be feeding right through the business of the smugglers and the traffickers. So it is a multifaceted situation, but we need to be proactive, because migration has always been the history of humanity. It will be also the future. If we tackle all the root causes, the present root causes of migration, we will still have to face other push factors for migration with regards, for example, to climate change. Not long ago, I was actually receiving the ambassador of Togo to Malta, who was explaining to me that Togo already has an issue with climate change and of people from Togo moving, and the whole wave of people moving down to South Africa. So the issue of migration is not just the immediate, it's a long-term issue which we need to tackle holistically and proactively. It is a process. If there are the recommendations of the Valletta Summit, there is the Valletta Action Plan, which we hope all EU member states will take up. but also we have to continue because this is a process and we need to really be proactive. We can't manage such situations by crisis. And your other question? Yes. Yes, we do not get migrants through boats anymore, but we are getting migrants in another way. We actually have quite a number of migrants who come over from Italy by air. And one has to also mention the fact that Malta, these last years, has been registering significant economic growth. We have actually imported labor because even our unemployment is at its lowest rate ever. So migrants would know that there is work for them to do, to be found in Malta, and are encouraged to come from the mainland to Malta. So that is the way that our migrant flow is coming now.